Welcome everybody, and I'm very pleased and honored to be able to do this for our communities. And thank you to Evelyn Moy and the Moy Family Association for hosting this and organizing this for us. And I also want to say hello to Sifu Marjorie and Brother Willie, heard you're on there, and Lily, Chinese language master, Lily Lu. So I'm going to start by saying, first of all, when we see these self-defense Zooms or programs, sometimes it's pretty difficult for someone to realize, oh, well, we all watched the Kung Fu movies, you know, when we were little, and maybe your parents drug you to the Sun Sing Theater in New York City or something. This is not like that, okay? This is for very basic, realistic self-defense for the street. In light of all the unfortunate criminal incidents that have been happening, this is something to protect yourself and to help protect others, possibly. I know there's a lot of community groups, and I know Willie is involved with one of them out in the California area, I believe. They go around and you know, they basically police the area and help out and try to make sure people are safe. So this is what we're not going to be doing. I'm in my 50th year of doing Chinese martial arts and Tai Chi. And the large frame overkill practice movement that we do in forms will look like this, of course, and we've all seen that. Okay. Even though it's kind of exciting to see that type of movement, that's not realistic self-defense. What we're going to be doing today is very straight line, and we're going to be using a lot of legal tools, things that we can carry around, things that are not considered weapons, but we can use them to protect ourselves. Okay. And there will be a question and answer period afterwards when we're done, in case you have any questions. I'm going to start by showing you some of these things, and I'm going to have my assistant, John Splort. He's been a student of mine for 10 years now. He's going to help me today. He's going to be the bully and beat me up, or try to. Okay, so what we've talked about before is just your basic standard umbrella. Okay, you can get them for about $14, $15. They're usually at drugstores, Walmart, places like that. And they have, it's not sharp, and don't sharpen it because then it would be considered a real weapon. But they have already a metal pike on the end and a hook. You can hook around things, around ankles. It's a very, very useful, practical little tool. And people say, well, what if it's not raining? It doesn't matter. I've been unfortunate enough, but fortunately for the analogy, I went through a small case of skin cancer. I have to carry an umbrella when it's sunshine out. So you can carry an umbrella all the time. The next one is your standard walking cane. Now, whether you need one or not, and whether you want to pretend to limp or not, that's up to you. I wouldn't, but you can use it the same way. And also the standard one has the hook on the end. So they're going to be the main thrust, the basic two, and then we'll go into the other ones a little bit later. All right, so I'm going to have John come up and assist me. I'm going to show you why the classic or traditional large frame Kung Fu movement is not real good for nowadays or modern street defense, okay? Unfortunately, I'm 67. If you're 67 years old or older and you don't do this as a living or practice every day, you might not be as adept to flexibility, being able to kick this high without moving your body, you know, in an outward way that's going to telegraph to the opponent. So we have to do very basic things that everyone can do. And here's why. If I do those large frame outside circular motions and he's the bully, he comes to approach me and I start doing that, he's going to block it right away. I'm going to show you this view of it. Stand over. this is what he sees. It's coming from a large sweeping outside circle, and he has plenty of time with his peripheral vision to see that coming. Instead, we're going to do very short straight line function. He starts to approach, and there's the straight line punch. Right in the center, sternum or face, right? The other idea, okay, step back just a little bit, John. Big sweeping outside kicks. It looks nice and fancy, or even, even a straight line high kick. That high, no good. Everything should stay from belt level down. And again, straight line. He walks into approach, and there's the kick to the shin or knee. He walks into approach, there's the kick to the groin. Very basic, right? And as always, when you see it, it's pretty easy to understand, but practice it at home, right? Relatives, friends, neighbors, whoever's willing to practice with you. And when we get to the basic street tools, I brought some bendable soft Nerf things. So if I hit John as a practice, he won't be mad, and he'll still want to practice with me tomorrow. Okay, so very logical way to approach this. Straight line, right? Use soft weapons. If you're pushed on the ground, of course, that might be very traumatic for most of us. If you're not used to, crouching down and getting up and down off of the ground, and you happen to fall or get pushed there, it could be very traumatic. So we're going to play that scenario a little bit more this angle. John approaches. I don't see it coming. He pushes me to the ground. Right. So now here's my first defense. He comes in to get closer, and there's a kick to the groin, kick to the knee. He reaches down. I kick his hand. Right. So this outside kick. Now we've seen this type of exercise on TV all the time, right? Grab your foot and stretch. Grab your foot and stretch. Well, if you haven't done that since gym class, since high school, it's going to be a little tricky at first, a little sore, but you should still, practice these things. Even from sitting in a chair. Basic preparation or practice for that is just lifting your knee as high as you can, pulling your toes up, and pushing your heel out. Right? Just doing this leg flex, right, and release. Very good. If you're sitting in a chair, bus station, you're in the subway, park bench, right? Seafood Marjorie, Columbus Park is one of my favorite places to go when we're in New York City. Hopefully we can get to New York City this year. Someone approaches you from a sitting position, same idea. There's the kick to the shin already, right? If you don't see them coming and they grab at you, right? Still straight line, right through the center. No big swinging actions, right? Straight line. It's very hard for them to see straight line coming, and very difficult for them to stop it or block it, right? Most of the incidents that we've seen have been perpetrated by people who are not trained martial artists. They're just bullies. They have mental problems, but they are not trained fighters, okay? Other than maybe picking on other people and having street experience and bullying someone, they're not trained athletes. So that straight line center is a very good approach, right? Very hard for them to block. Here's the basic tools idea. If you have the walking stick and someone approaches you, right, I have that again, straight center line. There's the groin. He grabs a hold of me. Straight center line, like shooting a pull cue right to the face. If you have a chance to use the hook, you can do that around the neck and pull him away. Right. Nothing that's going to take years of practice. Just a few hours, practice with your friends or relatives. If I use the other end, the approaches, and I see it coming, I have pretty good peripheral view. Again, straight shot, right? And that's the idea. That straight, like shooting pool the wrong way, but this slide through and jabbing action. You practice it at home. Even cardboard targets, if you have no one to practice with, hit something just so you can get that feedback idea, right? Same thing with punching. Cardboard target. This will be Paul. This will be my cardboard target. Just getting that idea. Inside straight line. And maybe at first, of course, it won't be very fast or very hard. But as always, practice. The proper way to punch. Here's the proper fist. Don't ever put your thumb inside. Always fold the fingers first. Put the thumb to the outside. And usually punching with the top two major knuckles, index and middle finger major knuckle. Then when you draw and punch, inside, turn the waist a little bit. Exhale, same time. And you can even start out this slow, just to get a basic idea. If you're hitting cardboard or a pillow, right, just to get that feel of some feedback, so you're not totally surprised or a traumatic shock when it has to happen. Okay. All right, next one. This is the typical umbrella that I get from Chinatown, and it's pretty, and it has a nice, bagua yin or yang display on it, and the form structure for umbrella, because usually umbrella work comes from either monkey style, choi foot, another southern kung fu system. They do this type of thing to open and close and blind the opponent, confuse them. Is that practical for street defense? No, right? I would use it the same way, keep it closed, right? And he comes in to approach, and you jab, straight center line, straight center line, right? If I swing it, this is probably what's gonna happen. And let's pretend instead of being 67, maybe I'm 88, right? And I'm a little bent and not so fast, and I see the approach and I go to hit him, that's what's probably gonna happen. Worse yet, he blocks it and grabs it off of me. Now what? See? So don't swing wide, straight line, poke at them like he's the cue ball, okay? If we practice that with a soft, bendable Nerf toy, again, pretty easy to play this out, practice over and over, no bruises on your friend, right? And I can do this all day long, doesn't hurt him. You can even practice the negative scenario, swinging at them, right? And you can see how easy it is for them to see it coming and to block that. Same thing with a smaller weapon. If you have something like, and again, the typical legal tools for self-defense, a pencil, a metal writing pen, a metal ruler. And people say, well, I'm gonna have to carry the ruler. Yeah, but that's okay. My outside suggestion is, as we all have heard, if possible, don't travel by yourself. Have a friend, travel in groups. Make sure someone knows that you're supposed to be from point A to point B, so they're at least waiting or looking for you, right? Don't go into dark back street areas where there might be trouble. Try to play it very smart. So if I have a pencil, let's say, and just like in the 70s, people would carry their car keys in their fingers. Not a bad idea. They had little metal weapons about this big attached to their keychain called Kubatons, right? A little Japanese term. So you would hold that. Unfortunately, the Kubaton is known as a weapon. So legally, it might be a little tricky. But if you're holding a pencil and someone approach, simple, right? Again, straight line, and wherever you poke it. Now you have to make your own moral judgment. Do you want to poke somebody in the eye? If they're trying to hurt you, my opinion, poke them. Wherever it lands, that's their problem. Let the medics figure it out later. But that's just my opinion. All right, so straight line approach, get soft implements to practice with. Make sure that you do this straight line, not big swinging things. It's too easy to see it coming. Don't have, I mean, you know, I'm not taking anything away from any martial arts school. You know, please go to your nearest Kung Fu or Tai Chi school and study martial arts. You know, take years, enjoy the journey. But for realistic street defense, it has to be straight line, and you have to practice it very fast. Okay. The most popular Kung Fu over the last 5 years, because of our big brother from Grandmaster Bosa Mark School in Boston, Donnie Yen. Okay. And everybody says, "Oh, you know Donnie Yen?" Well, I don't know him, you know. But I saw him once when he was about 17 in Boston. He doesn't know who I am. But anyway, he made the Wing Chun movies very popular. Okay. Wing Chun is based on that very straight line. This is what the form looks like. So very short range, center line movement. And they practice something called Lin Wang Kyun. Lin Wang Kyun means chain punching or chain linking punch, right? So it looks like you're rotating the bicycle pedals, okay? Except you're holding the fist vertical. So the approach takes place. If I'm practiced enough or maybe young enough to go really fast, he approaches, and those punches just roll off right through the center line. Again, very hard to see that and block it. If I do a boxer's punch instead, right, easy to block. It's coming, even when people say, "Oh, boxers do straight punch." Well, unfortunately, their straight punch still comes from the top of the deltoid. So it's still coming this way with their chin tucked instead of upright and straight forward, right through the center. So again, visually, a lot harder to block the straight line. Okay. Someone mentioned about the self-defense personal alarms. This little rascal is about $5 to $6, just about anywhere, hardware stores. And surprisingly, now I don't know if you want to maybe turn your own personal volumes down just for a second or hold your ears, but listen. Very loud, very piercing. And I won't do it to John's face, but he approaches and you're holding this and you do that right at his ear level, deafening for a split second. So yes, if you can, get those personal alarms. They're very good. And it might buy you enough time to stand there and fight with them. No, to escape, right? He approaches, bang, you hit it and flee, get out of there. What about my groceries? Drop your groceries. We'll buy you more later. Okay. Now, one of my friends from Cleveland, Sifu Arthur Wong, said, "Don't forget what our ancestors used to do." Gai Moso, right? So feather duster, and everybody said, "Oh, well, of course, you know, everybody was afraid of getting whipped with it when you're a kid." But again, carrying this around, it's a legal self-defense tool. And instead of hitting them with the feathers or hitting them across this way, again, too easy to block, striking straight in. He approaches, straight line strike is right there. And since you have a little bit more length with this rascal, pretty easy to keep them at a distance. And it's always the same, sitting down, you're in the subway or bus terminal, they approach, right there. Don't forget to practice that at home. It's easy to see it and understand it, like I said earlier. But if you don't have some repetitions and the traumatic incident happens, it might be a different situation. So please, practice these things at home. And anything, a yardstick, just as well. You can carry a yardstick around. Someone might look at you funny, but it's a legal tool to be able to carry and protect yourself with. Okay. The next little funny one. We know this as a hojiao, right? Monkey claw or back scratcher. But again, you know, they're very sturdy. Some of them are very thick and solid all the way down instead of like a bamboo arm. But if you use the pommel end and someone approaches you, same idea, striking, right? Anywhere, but on that center line. Can you use the scratching end? Yeah, you can. If you're really caught off guard, they already grab a hold of you. You can rake it across their eyes as they're, you know, both hands are on you. Practice, just be careful with this one. It doesn't look volatile, but it works pretty well. And the last one is a basic fan. Now, you can go to any gift shop, usually in Chinatowns, Asian market centers, and they usually have a fan of some sort, right? This one happens to be made out of bamboo, very sturdy. This is the one I use for I don't know if you can see it. Quad. When I do my Chinese opera, this is one of the tools I use on stage, you know, as general quan. But basic self-defense, keep it closed. Use the pommel end, straight line, same idea. All right, now I'm going to go through a couple other self-defense scenarios. How are we doing on time, John? John's going to check how we're doing on time.
20 minutes.
We have 22 left.
No, you did 22 minutes.
Okay. So we're going to cover a couple more things, and then we'll have a question and answer period as well. Right. So we'll take the obvious. You know, there's a negative incident. You can see them coming, right? And you have about maybe 3 feet or so distance between you. Straight line punch. I don't know he's coming. Dark out, there's a bush here, whatever. He already grabs a hold of me. Straight line in, right? And what you can't see from the back is as soon as he grabbed me, I looped around and grabbed him. So he's going to get this type of compression when I strike. When he's not there and I practice at home, Sifu Marjorie, you'll recognize this one. Right? Squeeze from Grass Bird's Tail. And the whole scenario goes ward off, drag back, there's squeeze. Well, most people, when they see this, they know from the health reasons, it's connecting our 12 acupuncture pulse points into the Lao Gong point, the old work point of our pericardium, the heart, right? But past the good health scenario, what do you use it for? It grabs a hold of you. There it is. The strike in front, the compression, squeeze and back. And this is what takes place, not doing it full force to my student, but this is what the visual would look like. So this inside squeeze, whenever you're making contact with yourself, even in other forms of Chinese martial arts that I've studied, there's usually something or someone in between your own contact point. You've seen this type of kick before, right? Well, hitting your own ankle or foot for that timing reaction is okay. But what's the real meaning? Someone steps in, you're smashing the bridge of their nose and kicking their groin at the same time. They're sandwiched in between the contact point. So in case you didn't know that before, there's your self-defense visual of what happens in classic Kung Fu movement. Okay, all right, next one. Again, I'm going to get let's try the basic umbrella. I'm going to be taken totally off guard. How's the view on this? Push on the ground. Okay, I'm going to be taken totally off guard. That's what this. Okay. And push to the ground. I have the umbrella with. All center line, this foot is prepared to kick or do whatever else I need to do. Now, this type of movement comes from classic Kung Fu style called monkey style. So the Hokyun or Ho Chun has this type of tucking body action, right? The foot is always spring-loaded, ready to do something, right? The playful act out of monkey, of course, is this, right? But again, being able to use all that in a realistic self-defense scenario, let's cut that down to just the basics. So let's say he grabs my elbow. This type of inside cover happens very easily, and then, don't move your head, this release point of the monkey snapping claw would happen to his eyes. So wrapping like a monkey, folding his hands, and then strike back. Some of these might take a little bit longer, but the good news is you have this on video now. Play it over and over. Practice it at home. Okay. Back to sitting this time. Maybe I've got the basic bamboo fan with me this time. Any approaches? Same thing, right there, right in the groin. Now, does the person walking up to you, putting their hand on your shoulder, just want to ask you a question? How do you get to 58th Street? I hope not, because you just nailed them in the groin. My opinion is no one should be touching you, okay? If someone asks a question, ask it from there. So practicing action, reaction, does it have its hazards? Possible, but again, no one should be touching you. You have your own personal space. This is about your self-protection and possibly protecting others, right? Let's say we have our invisible victim sitting here. John's still the bully. I'm going to be the one helping, okay? No tool, self-defense tool this time. So John approaches the victim. I see it happening. Instead of getting my phone out and recording it, right? Unfortunately, you approach from the back, still center line. I have a free shot to the groin, tailbone, kidneys, back of the neck, back of the head. So whatever he does, there's the back of the knee, groin, kidneys, back of the head. That straight line target, very easy. You don't have to do any fancy punching, no fancy kicks, straight line. Let's say it escalates. He grabs the victim and now he's wrestling or choking them. You can reverse this on them. Volatile areas, again, groin, grab the ears and twist. Or easier and faster, slap the ears as hard as you can. It'll pop the eardrum, yes, but it'll save the victim. If that was my mom or a popo sitting there, they'll be deaf. Okay. All right, that's about all I have on that. Do you want to open it up to questions and answers now? See what that looks like.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. That was just wonderful. I'm going to unmute everyone. Let's see. Ask all to unmute. Okay, everybody unmute. Let's see. Can everyone unmute themselves?
I unmute.
Yeah, I unmute.
Okay, everybody unmute because I unmuted everyone. Okay, and so if you have a question, let's see, Lily is has a question. She said, should we yell out fire, help, thief? Any tips?
Yeah, so that's been the police self-defense standard for years, because their kind of joke, but truism is if you yell out help, maybe no one will come, or all the teenagers will pull out their phone and video you. If you yell out fire, yeah, unfortunately, if you yell out fire, more than likely someone's going to at least turn and look, maybe come help a little bit faster.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry, and just like the personal self-defense alarm, yeah, if you're that close, scream as loud as you can in their ear.
Okay. Rick says, absolutely brilliant, Sifu Mark.
Told you.
Rick, do you want to ask Mark a question?
Thank you, Mark. That was Sifu Mark, wonderful.
Thank you.
I took some judo back in the day, but I love your style. I actually like Wing Chun as well. But your teachings today are, the very straight line, practical uses. I'm gonna probably adopt some as well. I love it. And I'm a young guy apparently.
Thank you so much. And for everyone, even past the point of doing our Zoom today, friend me on Facebook if you ever have questions. I never post junk or jokes on my page. It's always about Chinese culture, Chinese language, or martial arts. Don't be afraid to ever ask a question. Or if you hear someone in an incident and they need help somehow, self-defense wise, don't be afraid to ask. You can message me anytime.
I want to jump in briefly and just mention that Mark and I have never met. For those coming in late, Mark and I are Facebook friends. And as president of the Moy Family Association, I wanted to partner with 1882 on a very current topic, a relevant topic of mixed race ethnicities. And Mark is actually half Scottish and half Chinese. So when I saw him playing the bagpipes, I just thought, oh, what's this? And then he was Elvis Presley and he was such a character. I said, I have to know who Mark is. So we became friends, and Mark actually approached me and said, I'd like to be of help to the Chinese American community. Actually, he offered it only to the Moys. And I said, oh no, Mark, you're way too good. We've got to record this, make it a public Zoom, because we're helping the Chinese American AAPI community. So we thank you very much, Mark. I have you recorded. And I'd like for each of you to actually show your video or ask Mark a question if you have one.
Okay, I ask a question. Okay. Hi, Mark. I'm Xiaobo. And I'm right now, me and my husband, Jay, and we're from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And Mark, he's my older friend and from Youngstown many years ago. And he is so good with his skill, and everybody just loves Mark, and especially Chinese New Year, our Chinese Association, Youngstown, Cleveland, everybody like, oh, we want to call Mark, He is so good with those line dance, dragon dance, and 醉拳 is a drunk one too, drunk 拳. And so all the Chinese New Year big events, Mark just add so much, support and color to the celebration. And he's truly very to our Chinese culture too. I'm from Shanghai, 35 years ago. And he looks very Chinese now, more and more. but the people just love him, and he is so like a loyal to Chinese people, Chinese culture. I really want to thank him here too.
So, Xiaobo, 多谢你。
不客气。
Xiaobo and I have been friends for so long, and I was just talking about you today. One of my students had went to your restaurant that you had in Canfield years ago. The Chinese Italian restaurant.
Yeah. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Do you remember?
What was the person's name?
That's Bill Lambert.
Oh, Bill. Okay. Yeah, I've been still teaching Tai Chi. I'm teaching the older people, seniors mostly.
Yeah. And
This
if
whole
any-
year is online.
if anybody is around the Pittsburgh area, Xiaobo also has a beautiful flower drum group, and they perform all over the place.
Yo, we put a drum on the waist. So we
Yeah.
have a drum dance group. Yeah, right. We perform a lot.
Yeah.
We're performing in next month in Cranberry Park.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah. Would you like to come do something, do some Tai Chi?
That'd be great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll send you information. I can give you like a 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
太好，太好，感谢你。
Thank you, Xiaobo. That's wonderful. Well, Mark, I actually have a question. You know, a lot of people are just terrified that they're going to be attacked from the back.
Yes.
So we don't have eyes on the back of our head. So how are we going to protect ourselves?
Okay, that's good. I'll have John help me with this one. If you have a umbrella or walking cane with you and someone approaches from the back, so same idea, center line,
Oh, okay.
very easy. Yeah. John's married, so I'm trying to take it easy on him. But if you don't have if you don't have a street implement or tool with you and they grab a hold, same thing with your hand, just straight line back, your center line is probably their center line, right?
Yeah. See if there's one more. There's three.
I have the traditional Chinese cue. I wear it as a badge in honor of my past relatives for what they went through. But someone grabs your hair instead, see, and pulls back, right? All you have to do is circle under, and there's straight line. But you have to practice that. Right? Let's say they put their arm around your neck and choke you. Pull back this way. Instead of struggling with their arm, they're probably going to be stronger and faster than you. Same thing. Hammer to the groin, heel kick to the groin, like horse kick. All very simple and straight line.
Mark, thank you. Another question, same again with the back, because I think that's our unprotected area. Is it a good idea just to carry an umbrella? So they,
Yeah.
right,
Well, I'll tell you,
with it open?
if you carry it like this,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you can strike very easily from the back. But again, not as a warning, but as an old teacher's scolding, make sure you practice this at home. It's one thing to see it and understand it, but have this idea, maybe a cardboard target or someone back there so you can get some feedback as far as what the umbrella is doing. If the umbrella is open, I'll use this one. Let's say it is raining or the sun's very bright and you're trying to protect yourself. And someone approaches you, same idea. Now, because we don't have a straight line advantage here, you can still swing this one around, and if they've got their hands on you, scrape it across their face, maybe enough time to run or horse kick into the groin, get out of the way.
Hey, that's wonderful. Okay, everyone has to practice that one. Okay, let's have another question. Let's everybody have a question for Mark while we have him. I mean, when we have a Sifu here who's so generously donated his time this evening, let's get as many questions.
I have to do this. My relatives are looking down.
Hey, Evelyn.
Someone has their hand up. Who has their hand up?
It's Helen.
Okay, go ahead, Helen.
Okay, Mark, I tend to walk daily.
Yes.
And I don't, I guess after watching you, I guess you're suggesting that when we walk now, we should walk with a cane, an umbrella, or something like that. Is that what you're suggesting? I'm almost, I'll be 70 in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I was
And
suggest
I think
that,
some
you
of
know.
the things you're suggesting, like the kicks and all that, yeah, I don't think I'll be able to do that, but I
Right.
can practice with with a cane or umbrella.
Definitely. Almost everybody can do the like pole cue type sliding effort, straight line. That doesn't take hip and leg flexibility. Now, my suggestion, even when you're walking and there isn't a negative incident, and just try it. Everybody try this when you're walking. Think about your whole foot as it hits the ground or pavement. Heel, instep, ball of the foot, and toes like a cat's paw. Every time you walk, lightly grab with your toes. That's going to add to your solid root and support system. If someone does approach and you have to do this, if you make it a habit of grabbing with the toes, you have a lot of body torque that can go into that action. Plus, you know, when winter comes around again next week, and we have a slippery sidewalk or snow on the ground, that'll definitely help, you know, grab the fourth of toes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was thinking about getting one of those hiking sticks
Yes,
to go hiking. So would you suggest using a hiking stick?
that would work as well. And the good thing
Okay.
about the hiking stick is they usually have a wrist strap on the handle.
Yes, that's right.
You put your hand through the wrist strap, and even if someone might be a little stronger or faster than you, they can't pull it away from you as easy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, I think Lily, Lily, are you back with us?
Yes,
ahead.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. This was just so wonderful, and your compassion is really inspiring.
Thank
On
you.
a daily basis, is there anything we can do to build up better balance, like any special core, I think is the word, building exercises, just basic things that you might do when you warm up? Thank
Yeah,
you.
the basic one is this, of course. Just kidding. No, what you want to do on a daily basis is, first of all, make the hip leg connection stronger. So that knee raise from a sitting position, even lift the knee as high as you can, maybe even tuck the hands and pull it as high as you can to get that flexibility range in the hip. And then extend the foreleg and heel, getting that motion very soft. Don't lock the knee. Keep all the muscle strength in the muscle tissue, and just repeat those as many times as you can, side to side. Do it with the right leg, do it with the left leg. Now for balance in and of itself, you can use the chair, counter, or a couch and balance with one hand, raise one knee as high as you can, and then relax the other arm. I think everybody around my age can remember the flying Wallendas from the Ed Sullivan Show. Yeah, don't do this. Trying to hold. No, relax your arms down, straight line, raise your knee, and then slowly take the support hand off the chair and test your balance. You do that a few times, leg to leg, same thing, other side, test your balance. See how long you can take the hand away. Yeah, that'll definitely improve.
Thank you, Lily. And I just want to quickly mention, Lily was also a panelist with Mark and myself on the 1882 Moy Family Association Zoom. I actually have another question. If I don't want to hog all the questions, but Mark, what about for women? Is there a certain body language, like nonverbal, if you're riding the metro or something, so people don't see you like meek and mild and try to, is there, talk about the nonverbal.
Yeah, the old adage is yan, snake eye. So don't sit on the bus or in the subway like this. If you look like a timid little mouse, you'll be the easy visual victim. Sit straight upright, have an implement or your bag or whatever you have ready, and I wouldn't say make eye contact with the bully, that might instigate it, but at least keep your head neck connection upright and keep your eye peripheral focused and open. Don't sit here meek and afraid. If you cower, they'll definitely see the visual advantage there. Also, same thing. And I know it's more comfortable sometimes, especially at the end of a long day, or you just walk all the way through town and now you're on the subway to do this and cross your leg. From the cross leg position, not too bad because you can at least kick around groin or knee level. But I would say if you can, again, sit upright, keep your feet flat on the ground. You'll be less likely to be pushed over.
Terrific. Thank you, Mark. That's really very helpful. So we have to basically be on guard all the time.
Unfortunately, yeah. And, you know, and we've talked about this before, not from the paranoid sense, but just being aware, you know, having that three-dimensional peripheral awareness around us. I was told years ago, before any of this happened, when I was a teenager in Kung Fu school, you know, if you know of a bad situation area, you know, back then my instructor used to say, if you go to a bar, you're on your own. Okay. So we know, you know, fights happen there, people with alcohol, it's not a good combination sometimes. So, you know, try to go to safe places, try to get a friend or relative to go with you, you know, make it a buddy system. Those things will be less likely to stress you out from like a paranoid point of view. You have someone with you, a companion. If I go somewhere, I'm taking John, you know.
Okay, I see Xiao Bo, and I actually see my cousin Yan on screen. So Xiao Bo, do you have a question?
Yeah, hi, Mark. I'm Shabo's husband, Jay.
Hi, Jay, how are you?
Yeah, good to see you. What if you feel somebody walking behind you or coming closer behind you as you're walking down the street?
Yeah, I would, sometimes the diversion of whether you call somebody or not, grab your cell phone, pretend you're talking to someone loudly, right? That might make them back off because everybody knows nowadays you can trace phone calls, you can find each other easier, and they don't want to be heard, you know, attacking you. So that's one way to approach it. Another way is, you know, if you're especially in town somewhere, if you feel like someone's following you, go to the nearest store or door opening, whether you have to shop there or not. You know, I'm not a bagel or donut guy, but if someone was following me, I'd buy a dozen donuts. You know? And also, you know, if you're in that store, tell the proprietor, make them aware of it also. Maybe they can stand there with you and wait till the perpetrator leaves, or maybe call the police if necessary for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have about 4 minutes, and Mark, I'd like for you to tell everybody, first of all, everybody friend Mark, okay? I mean, if you're not friends with Mark, you gotta be friends with Mark. So Mark, tell us a little bit about your Kung Fu school. It's called Coiling, let's see, Dragon Kung Fu?
Yes, Coiling Dragon Chinese Kung Fu School. We're out of Girard, Ohio, which is right next door to Youngstown. I'm sure everyone's heard of Youngstown, Ohio. We're about an hour from Cleveland, but my wife and I are always back and forth to Cleveland's Asia Town and old Chinatown district up there buying groceries all the time. So if you're in around that area, don't be afraid to stop me and say hi. The school's been in existence now. This is my, in September, 30 years. I've had my school, my Kung Fu school, and my 50th year in training.
Well,
we cover a wide variety of Chinese styles. And as Xiaobo mentioned, we do lion dance, dragon, kind of a rare one, Keilun or Qilin, the Chinese unicorn, usually from the Hakka and the Taiwan areas.
And I can eat. I don't know where your parents are.
Yes, Helen, did you have a question? Helen, you have the floor. You're on screen right now. So do you have a question for Mark?
No, I don't have any more.
Okay, my cousin Yan, she was working at 7 o'clock, but I just insisted like, oh, please, you need to hear this. So Yan, why don't you introduce yourself? She's my young cousin, and you have a question for Mark?
Hi, I'm Yan.
Rachel.
No, I don't. Hi, I don't have any questions, but I did learn a lot, so I thank you for that.
Very well.
And secondly, I thought you're very, very graceful the way you move. So
Oh.
that was just very impressive.
中國應該啊，我係老人。
And that's all. I just want to say this is a very helpful
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
So
I want
thank you for that.
to thank everyone, and especially Mark, for attending today. I think in this environment, personal safety and the safety of our elders is first and foremost on our minds. And I think that everyone be safe. Again, we thank Mark very much. Please friend him. And Mark, if you don't mind, as a parting performance, can you do your monkey thing again? I mean, I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. So I want to end on a funny note. If you and John can do something funny, thank you so much, John, for being the bully.
Yeah, I want to thank John for helping us today. He also set up my studio lighting and the camera work today too. So
yes, and I also, before we leave, I want to everyone say congratulations to John. He just got married, and so we wish you the very, very best. You know, on your wedding. So, Mark, as a parting shot, either you and John do something or do your monkey. And again, thank you so much for being so gracious for all of us.
well, thank you again, Evelyn, and again, thanks to the Boyd Family Association, and hopefully this helps as best it can. You know, spread it out. You know, this is not about promoting me. This is about helping our communities. So, okay, this is, and I also studied in New York City for about 3 years with a teacher, Hoi Lo Tin. It was back in the 80s. He had a Chinese opera school. And so there was a bunch of us standing on the old wrought iron fire escapes on Bayard Street, right off of Pal area. And we stand there with our hands on our hips, heels together, sternum pressed out, and holding one long Cantonese opera note. For a long time. And Master Hoy would be in his window of his apartment yelling at us how it was terrible, do it again. And I always say, I can't imagine the people walking underneath us at the street on Bayard going, what are you doing? But so I learned some Monkey King and also studied Monkey Kung Fu. And here's a little bit of that.